Hi, I'm back to talk to you about cronometer again, and this time we're going to be inserting some foods into cronometer and making up a recipe to reuse again and again to store in cronometer. So the first thing I actually want to show you is cronometer on the app. So that's this one here. When you use the app, if you're out and about, for example, you might want to insert your foods directly on the app. And a really great way to insert some foods in the app is if you sort of scroll down, you can see the different times of day and you can see what you've already put in. So let's imagine I'm just going to add something to dinner. You highlight dinner and you press the plus button there to add a food, and you can either add a food from their list, and there's loads of stuff on their list, and you just start typing in. So for example, if I start typing in lentils, okay, it comes up with some lentils. Different choices, you can put the brand name in, etc. I'm going to get rid of that because I'm going to recommend that what you do when you add a food, I'm going to recommend that you actually scan it in so that you get the actual food. So these are my lentils. These are, oh, it did it so fast. I only waved it near it. I didn't think I'd lined it up yet. But basically you scan the food in and it tells you what it is. Now I recommend scanning in because, for example, with lentils, when you go out to buy lentils, there'll be loads of different packets of lentils on the shelf and they look identical, but the amount of carbs in each one is really different. Now, initially I questioned this because I just thought, is this mad? These are all red lentils, they look identical, but actually they are different strains and they have different levels of carbs. So basically what I tend to do is I'll just look on the supermarket shelf at every single one and pick the lowest carb one. Well, so I could just add that now to the diary. It will go into dinner because I'd already highlighted dinner. You can change that if you've got it wrong. So it says here, you can change if it was lunch, for example, you just click on that and change it to lunch. I'm not going to add that to my diary because I already, I didn't have lentils for dinner yet. So I'm going to leave that as is, but it's really helpful to use the app for when you're out and about. But then what you can also do is, if you're sitting at the computer, you might find it easier to use the computer version. Right, so I'm just going to share my screen. So now you can see, this is my cronometer. I've already had some breakfast, which is just a cup of coffee. It's quite sort of mid-morning-ish. I have a cup of coffee with some MCT oil in it. I've had some lunch, which is leftover. I tend to batch cook. And what I can show you is, if I just show you that recipe, got to remember now where I put it. Oh, this is in custom meals. When it looks like that, it's custom meal. So you can see the salad is custom meal. But when it just looks like that, it's a custom recipe. I think that's the notification. Yes, here we go. So here's my ragu. So basically I just make up a meaty sauce, or in this case, a soya mince sauce. And I've separated it out from what I use it for so that I can reuse the same recipe again and again, whether I am making it for cottage pie or for bolognese or whatever, so that I can do the accompaniment separately. So you can see that in custom recipes, if I go back to the recipe list, you can just add a recipe. I'm just going to go to my ragu recipe there. And what you can see is I have added in all of these ingredients and I've said that there are 4 servings per recipe. Okay, so when I add it to my food, like here, it's giving you the full recipe. Well, that's not very helpful. Scroll down a little bit further and you can change that to view the serving size. So you can see exactly what you're getting calorie-wise, macros-wise, fiber-wise, etc. And a few of the sort of top level micronutrients. No vitamin D, there's definitely mushrooms in it. And I'll put my mushrooms out in the sun for an hour. So you can bear that in mind. if something like that goes wrong. Okay, so if I go back to my to my diary, you can see, because I batch cooked on Saturday, I've got lots of leftovers for lunches, and I've just inserted this. The way to insert, if you click on lunch first and then add a food, you can just start typing. So you can type, well, you can see there are some things that have come up already, things that I've had before. There's my salad that I always have. So this is a generic salad with everything I would always have in a salad. And then if I have any special added things that I add for a particular time, I add those separately. It just cuts down having to type in lettuce and cucumber and every time. Anyway, so all I needed to do was type in ragu, and my ragu is going to come up at the top, my custom recipe. I click on that and it inserts. And if you scroll down a bit, yeah, no, that's basically it. Okay, so I'm not going to add that because obviously it's already in here. Okay, so if I now look at everything I've had all day so far, you can see that I need to do some work on some more calories. I'm doing okay on protein, but I need some more protein. My ragu, I had it with celeriac mash, so as a cottage pie. So I'm already quite carby for today, so I need to do something that is not too carby. And I'm going to need some fats. So this is the way I'll tend to use this. I can now plan what do I want for dinner to fill those gaps. I won't pick a particularly carby dinner, obviously. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to show you how to insert a custom recipe. I'm still on the ragu one here. So go back to the recipes list, and what I've got up on the screen next to me that you can't see is my recipe for mackerel fish cakes. I say mine, my husband makes this, it's lovely. So I'm gonna add a recipe. I'm gonna call it keto mackerel fish cakes. Okay, and I'm gonna add ingredients, and you can either go serving based or weight based. Doesn't really matter, because you could always change it each time you put an ingredient in. But I'm going to go serving based for this one. Okay, so you click on add an ingredient, and the first one is mackerel. Atlantic cooked. That'll do nicely. Okay, now for this example, it hasn't even given me a serving size. I mean, it could be a fillet, so you can click on this and choose a fillet and put a fillet in. I'm going to stick with grams because I know this recipe calls for 400 grams of mackerel, and I add the ingredient. Let me whiz through and add all the ingredients. Now, this actual recipe calls for onion powder. I don't use that. I use an onion. So I'm going to pop an onion in, and I'm just going to put a small one in. And then it says, again, the recipe says garlic powder. I don't do that. I actually mush up some garlic, and I'll probably put, let's call it 3 cloves. I like garlic. I put a lot in. And then we're going to put in some almond flour. Almond flour. It's half a cup and a tablespoon. That's mad. Cup, a half. Add. And then I'm going to add it again. Oh, I know what it's, sorry. The half a cup goes into the recipe, and the extra tablespoon is used just to coat the fish cakes so they go crispy. Almond. See, this is what happens when you don't make the recipe yourself. You leave it to your hubby. So there's the tablespoon. All right. Then I'm going to add 1 large egg. Eggs cooked, 1 large. And we want some mayonnaise. I'm going to try and find the one I have, organic, which I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head. Yeah, I can't really see it. I'm going to put in Hellmann's organic mayonnaise. I can't remember the name of the brand I get. So I'm just going to pop that one in. It's close enough, and it's a tablespoon, yeah. And we want some Dijon mustard. Oops, Dijon mustard. Here it is. 15 ml, so that'll be a tablespoon as well. Da, 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 da. Parsley. Now I usually use the dried because we've never got any. Oh, parsley, because I can't spell. Dried. And that is asking for half a teaspoon. I'm going to put a whole, oh, not a tablespoon, sorry, teaspoon. I'm going to put a whole teaspoon in because we always overdo it. Because I like it and it's good for you. And then we generally use extra virgin olive oil. But it gives you the option to use ghee as well. So that is, again, a tablespoon. All right, there's my recipe. Now I'm going to save the recipe. Wow, that's huge. For one full recipe. I think we normally, with this one, oh, excuse me, servings, we normally have a third each, and a third goes in the fridge for later. So let's save that, save a third. Just scared myself then when I saw the calories. And I'm going to change that to a serving. That looks a bit better, doesn't it? All right. So I'm going to add that to my dinner, not the full recipe, serving, or that will scare me. And let's go look at my diary, see where we are. All right, I'm well over on my protein. Wow. Okay, and a little bit under on my carbs. I don't have any fat yet. I don't have enough fat yet. When I cook, I will tend to put some olive oil, a drizzle of olive oil. So I'm just going to add that now. Drizzle of olive oil over every meal. Oh, where did that go? In the wrong place. You can just pick it up and move it. Do you see it went into lunch there? I'd already got some in for lunch. You just pick it up and move it into dinner. All right. And then what will I have with it? I will probably have some asparagus cooked from fresh. I'm going to go for, got some medium looking spears in the fridge, and I'll probably have about 5, do you think? And I will have with that as well some green beans. Each, probably about 5 or 6 of those as well. That's a bit mean, isn't it? They're not very big, are they? Let's go for about 8. And I will put some broccoli and sprout. I wonder if it makes a difference sprouting. Purple sprouting broccoli. And it's not going to give me spears, so probably going to be about, I picture them. I'm going to put down 30 grams. I can always weigh them tonight and come back and change it when I actually make it up. And I already put the olive oil on. All right, so as you can see, I'm well over on my protein, a little bit crazy today. My carbs are a bit under and my fat is a bit under. So I could definitely add something. I'll have a think about snacks. Let's have a look, see what nuts will do to my, oh, let's go mixed nuts. Because I'm wondering if mixed nuts might not have it with. And I would probably have an ounce. Let's have a look, see what that does. Okay, that's brought everything up a little bit closer in line. My calories are about right. Carbs a little bit under, fat's a little bit under. My protein is stunkingly well over. So it's a good protein day for me. Luckily, I am on pre-code. So I'm a little bit more flexible with my macros. If you are on recode, you probably want to be a bit more careful with this. Okay, so that's an example of how I might put in either a recipe or some individual foods, and how I might use the tool to plan my meals, having put in one meal for the day, have a look, see what kind of meal will fit in to build up the macros. What you can also do is skip between the days. You know, I don't tend to recommend using this every day forever, because it's not a huge amount of work if your recipes are already in. But you know, it is a bit of a hassle. So I would recommend maybe using it for the first 2 weeks when you're getting into keto, to make sure that you're getting your macros about right, and you can work with your health coach to think about what kinds of foods would work well for you with your macros. But once you've done that for a couple of weeks, maybe then just do 1 week every month, just to make sure that you're still in line. And what's really helpful is if you find that you are typically eating too many carbs or not getting enough protein or whatever it may be, you can flick through the individual days. You'll see the days here. You can click onto different days and look at the last few days. What day did you do really well on your protein? And what you can do is click or just hover above your protein, for example, if that's what you're looking at, and it will tell you what you've eaten and how much protein is in each of the meals. So you can see on this day, it was the fish cakes that did it, 39 grams of protein, followed up by the ragu. That will be the soya mince that I used. Yeah. Or for example, if you're over on your carbs, you can hover over that and see what were the really big carby items that I probably need to have slightly smaller portions of. Okay. So that's a great way of looking at your macros. What is also really good is you can have a look at your micronutrients as well. So if you've put in, for example, look, on this day, my fibre is very low. That probably doesn't look too low to you, 23 grams. In that, the NHS guidelines are like 30 to 35 grams, depending whether you're a woman or a man. But I put in a target of 50 grams for me, because fibre is so important. When you're eating keto, it's easy to be low on your fibre. And although the NHS guidelines are only about 35 grams, actually, if you look at Indigenous tribes, they are eating about 100 grams a day. So I think that's quite a leap. So I've put my target in as 50, and this is a very low day. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to come up and I'm going to take out my nuts, because I haven't eaten them yet. I'm just going to delete those. And I'm going to find something that I can have some ground flax seeds with. Oops. Ground flax seeds, just to really up my, Linwoods, that's the ones I use. So I'm going to add some ground flax seeds. Normally I will have that with kefir. I make my own kefir, but I haven't got that obviously in here. Let's just go for that one. I don't normally have that much. I normally have about 100 ml, to be honest. So if I go for about an ounce and say 3. Yeah, that feels about right. And I usually put some blueberries in as well. So I have frozen organic blueberries, but let's just see, they should come up, because that's what I always put in. There you go, wild frozen blueberries. Oh, grams. I normally have about 28 grams. Okay, that is much better. My protein is still way over. But let's have a look, see what that did to my fibre. That's really increased my fibre, but still not up to my target. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I am going to add to that whole mix, I'm going to add some chia seeds as well, which I sometimes do. If you just do it how I just described it, kefir and blueberries and flax seeds, that's quite runny. It's like a really thick shake. But if you have the chia seeds, it really soaks up some of the liquid and makes it more like I call it a blueberry fall. If you're in my Facebook group, you can find the recipe. You can see me actually making it by a video. So I'm going to put a tablespoon of those in and see how that does me. Well, still need to work on my fibre. Not a good day for fibre. I can't think of anything else to add right now. So what I'm going to do is I am going to target to have more fibre tomorrow. But I'm going to call that it for today because I've had my calories. I don't want to really overdo it. And although my protein is really over, probably need to be a bit more focused on protein for the next few days and make sure I'm not going too far over. But otherwise, I'm pretty happy with the day. What's really useful as well is you can start looking at all your micronutrients. I'm already well aware that I do not seem to get enough calcium in my diet, so I am supplementing with calcium. I haven't got much sodium either, but that's okay because what I haven't put in the recipe, I do always put Himalayan pink salt in my food. My choline is low. I better focus on getting some eggs tomorrow. See, all of this is helping me plan future days. And biotin as well. I need to look at that and see for some really good food sources of biotin and see what I should be eating tomorrow. I hope that's been helpful. I'll stop that share now. I will put the mackerel fish cake recipe in the comments under this as well so that you can see it. And otherwise, I think that's it for today.